Hey guys, Chris, Mr. Blodgett. Hey Mr. Blodgett, there was something we wanted you to ask today. I can't remember what it was. Yeah, it is exciting. Hey Nick. So I'm waiting to see Tom check in here. Almost Machining is almost here. Shoster, welcome aboard. Oh, somebody asked me about coolant filter clogging and wanted me to get into that. So just remember to ask that today, because I mentioned in the earlier quite informal live that I was getting clogging on the 5-micron filters, and somebody wanted me to talk about that. So we will try to do that. Tuck Garage, hi. So let's see, Tom, if you are listening, there should be a little button down there that says, looks like a camera with a plus sign. Hit that button. Usually we just do housekeeping until 5 minutes after the hour. Hey Warren, welcome aboard. How's it going, neighbor? TG Davis, how are you? So, in the shop today, if you were lucky enough to punch in this morning, I was just getting the shop ready to do stuff. And I don't know if you could hear it in the background, but the grinder is on a job, which is awesome. Almost says I finished the winding of that motor. It doesn't run correctly. I'm starting to think the rotor is unhappy. Ah! Well, that's how things go sometimes, I guess. So, Tom, if you're listening, hit the little camera symbol with the plus sign on the bottom. I will try to I'm getting a chat window up here in the corner. Anyway, while we're waiting for Tom, I will take any questions. So I hope everybody had a busy week and a productive week. Here on the East Coast, the weather was pretty nice. So we got a little bit of rain the other day, and it's sunny and glorious. I've got some stuff going in the shop today. We're going to make some 4-inch rectangular stones, PFG stones. What filter housings do you use? Just piped inline housings. So, Tuck Garage asked that. The filter housings that I use now, I have a, oh gosh, I can't remember the name of it, but if you bug me, I'll get it for you. It's a serious industrial welded up housing. So, hang on. We learn as we go here. Please stand by. We're having technical difficulties. Tom is navigating to the live as we speak. So let me go look at the filter housing manufacturer, and I'll tell you what that is. Stand by. Yeah, my filter guys is MSC Filtration. Mike Sierra Charlie, MSC Filtration is the guys I buy the filters from. So the problem I was having on the 5-micron filters was quite interesting. After a while, so after the filter started to get some detritus in it, I would be running, oh, there he goes. Hi, Tom. So now on the bottom should be the little camera symbol with a little plus sign in it. Hit that. That's request to join live video. Anyway, the pressure on the nozzle started dropping, and it was just like the filter was clogging, except there was one weird thing. If I stopped running for a while and started up again, it was fine. It was really weird. So I've heard of this before, but if you imagine a bunch of stuff getting stuck to a filter, and then you stop the flow and all that stuff falls down, the filter could start filtering again. I think that's what was going on. Let's see, do I have a... Hang on, I think I have a trick here. Hey, Tom. By the way, Tom, I'm watching your chat. So here's a mirror. You see that button right there? Oops. That's the button. If you're watching the live, it should look like that. And that. Optics are hard. That's the button. we should have trained before this. But nothing's easy. So I hope that helps you, because that's an effect in filters that I'd heard about before. But yeah, you saw the infinity mirror, yes. Couldn't get that past you. There it is. Nerds, go figure. Yeah, we're trying to get. I don't have a second phone here to walk you through it, Tom. Let me take care of that. All right, I have another phone coming. Tom, if you're still having issues, let me know on our chat. Anyway, so that filter action was really bizarre, and I didn't know about it until it happened to me. Oh, you're on the phone. Can you bring me your? I just need a phone. Any phone will do. Oh, you're good now. Okay, so you see that little camera with the plus sign on the bottom? I shouldn't have assumed that it was obvious, but when you hit it, it should say request to join live video. So getting back to the filters, 5 micron filter had that effect. Here we go. And so I switched to a 30 micron filter in that cartridge, and that's what I'm running now. Problem solved. I had a whole team working on this. Okay, I'm going to add you, Tom. Yeah, so I'll wait for Tom to come on to relay that to him. There he is.
Hey, hello.
Hey, that works.
Can you hear me?
I hear you just fine, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm just adjusting my sound level a little bit. Say something?
Something. This is something. This is something else.
Okay, good. Good.
Well, welcome, California.
Thanks. How's things out in big NH?
The big NH is gorgeous. Sun shining. The pollen is blowing.
Oh, yeah. We got some of that. It's raining today, of all things.
Really?
It was 100 degrees yesterday and bright sun, and today it's 70 and raining. So, I don't know. Whatever. California.
So just before you joined, I got to go back to the comment.
Yeah.
Firmworks Limited says, "Hello, fellow Mr. Bozos."
Yeah, right. Very true.
I think we were nailed on that one.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I was.
Are you?
Oh.
How's the move-in going?
Oh, it's going good, and it's a kind of a long process, right? Long and expensive process. I'll put that out there, and it's just me here, right? And so, this morning I was prepping 110 plugs to install them, and just nibbling on stuff, and got to make a run and get another roll of wire, like typical stuff, right? And and then this new machine that I got is I don't know, interfering with the process, but so I have to make some progress on that too. So anyway, I built some things I need to help me move it. So that interrupted my shop expansion desires.
So you're still in the process of actually physically getting it into its home place, right?
Exactly. So the story right now is that I disconnected some of the peripheral equipment. There's a pump skid and a filter skid and a resin bed thing and some other stuff, and kind of physically separated those from the machine because they're already physically separated, but they're cabled together, right? So I separated all that, and then the main CNC cabinet is not really part of the machine. I mean, it's a kind of a freestanding, basically cabinet, and then there's signal cables they connect it to, right? So anyway, so I was at the next step of disconnecting all the wires, right? And I started looking at it. I was like, wow. I go, this next one is a big deal, right? And now, when they ship the machine, they ship them separate, okay, from the factory. And then the tech, the little FANUC tech comes out and he connects it all up and tests it and does the whole thing, right? So I started looking at it and I'm like, geez, this is a lot of work, right? So I got to disconnect all these, be pretty careful with them, and then separate the two things. And I move it, then I got to reconnect it. And I'm like, And then, I'm looking underneath the machine, and the machine's about 4 inches off of the ground on its leveling feet, right? So it's kind of a clear shot under the whole thing. So I said, geez, maybe I ought to trade that labor for building a custom skid so I can move the thing as a complete unit, right? So I did some measuring and noodling, and just kind of evaluated that, from a labor standpoint, labor disconnecting and unrouting wires and then putting it all back together, blah, 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 right? And I go, well, the skid's a no-brainer, right? And it fits in the trailer. I can strap it all down to that and make it kind of a single unit out of it. And so anyway, that's what I did.
Cool.
So I built a skid, and then, I don't know if you've priced steel lately, but it's pretty dang ridiculous right now, right? And so, of course, all us fabricator guys, hey, I'll just buy some new steel and I'll slap it together, right? So I got some prices on some steel. I'm like, geez, okay, wait a second. This is getting expensive just for a one-time use, right? So I'm like, all right, where can I get some cheap steel, right? And anyway, I jump on Craigslist, and I end up buying a bunch of, these, they pull these pallet racks out of warehouses and stuff like that. Well, the cross beams are pretty heavy duty, and anyway, they're pretty cheap on Craigslist, and they're steel, right? And they're basically tubing, right? So anyway, I bought 5 of those for $10 a piece, and it's not ideal, but for a one-time usage, and then throw the thing away, right?
Yeah,
no problem.
It's not bad.
No, yeah, and these are 9 feet long, right? So 5 times 9 feet, right? And so a little rusty inside and all that, but structurally sound. And then I went to, I almost hate to admit it, I went to Harbor Freight, right? And they have those kind of forged tie down rings there, right? And they're $5 a pop, right? So I bought like 15 of those and welded those onto the skid, so it has its own tie down points, right? And so yeah, the thing's pretty bomber right now, and one end pops off, so I can slip it under the thing without jacking the machine up, put the other end on it, bolt it up, and then lift that whole, tie it down and then lift that whole thing up and move it. So anyway, I'm pretty much ready to move. I'm reserving the truck and trailer that I need to move it. So that's really what's driving the schedule at this point. So space is cleared out. The wiring's done for the EDM and the peripherals and all that stuff. So yeah, getting pretty excited now. So
well, you could get your master electrician license now.
Well, I don't know. Uncle Stan might argue with you on that, but I got all the right skin knuckles and sore tendons and stuff to qualify me. So,
boy, I wish we weren't 3,000 miles apart. I'd be right there with you, bending.
Well, yeah, I appreciate that, and. You guys know that Stan came up and brought his big old trailer up and hung out here for a couple of days and really got me pushed in the right direction. And so I owe him big time. And I think he's got another job coming up in this area that so my plan is I'll probably just take a week off and hang out with him and give him some free labor, when he needs some help. So it's just keep the brotherly love going there. So
one of the viewers asks, what are gas prices where you are?
Oh boy. Yeah. Well, so everything's pretty much over $6 a gallon right now. Diesel's close to $7. And
I don't know.
so if you,
I don't know if this connection automatically translates things into metric. Can you just say that gas price again?
it's over $6 per gallon, and yeah, it's pretty nutty, right? And now if you go to that's if you go to the fly by night cheapskate places, right? And if you go to Chevron or Shell or one of the kind of the name brands, 650, 675, something like that. Yeah, it's well, what are you going to do, right? So
I think we were at 470, 475 here in the Granite State.
Jeez, I wish right now anyway. I mean, I don't know. It's got to break at some point, is my feeling, but it's pretty uncomfortable right now. So
That's amazing.
yeah.
So we have another.
Yeah, go ahead.
Paul Morley says $4.80 in Dallas.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So another question from Firmworks says, Mr. OxTools, do you still work at the physics lab?
Yes, I do. So yeah, I work. For those that don't know, I work at Lawrence Berkeley National Lab. That's in Berkeley, above the UC campus. And yes, I still work there. I got, I don't know, 4.5 years left before I retire out, probably something like that. And so the next natural question for people is, oh my God, what are you doing with this commute, right? Because it's 130 miles or whatever it is from where I am right now to Berkeley. My parents are still alive and they live in Berkeley, and they're older. So what I do is I go down and I stay with them a few days a week and help them out. You know, they usually have some little list of things for me to do for them. You know, light bulbs and filter changes and stuff like that, right? And but they give me a little room, and so I stay there for a couple days a week, and so I only have to make the drive once a week. And Berkeley, because of COVID, Berkeley Lab changed its remote work rules, and so I can work from home effectively for a couple of days a week, so I don't have to be on site the whole week. So so I come back up here on Wednesday afternoon, and then work from home on Thursday and Friday, and then rinse and repeat. So it works out pretty good. Yeah.
It sounds like you did a whole bunch of optimization there. That's pretty good.
Well, it's a lot of things, for the whole thing to happen kind of aligned themselves, right? And one was, my property manager, jacking the rent, right? So, and then the other was COVID, right? Which broke down some of those remote work kind of barriers, right? And then, so I turned, and then my age, there's a few things that kind of dropped into place, right? So this kind of made some of the things possible, right? And so yeah, I'm pretty happy with it, and I can probably, at the time I was like, oh, what a jerk of a property manager, right? But now I can kind of say, hey, thanks a lot. That really kind of got me going there, right? And so
yeah. Our Taekwondo school here, we got a similar hit with a rent increase. That was, for us, it was pretty substantial.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing that all over the place. And I think all the rents are responding to all the real estate prices, all the everything prices. Took a big jump.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I don't know. Being a human is pretty expensive. So
we're pretty high.
Yeah. We're the only ones that have to pay. Go ahead.
Go ahead, finish up.
Well, I was going to say we're the only ones that have to pay to live on the planet, right? So,
so guys, if you have questions for Mr. OxTools.
Yeah, hit me up.
Put them in the little question queue at the bottom. That's the best place. The second best place is put it in the comments, and I'll try to grab it. But I might lose it if we don't jump on it. So I assume you got. So let me ask you this, Tom. What machines are now up and running?
I can run anything right now. So you know, there's only one corner right now that I don't have the I would call it the permanent wiring in, but I have enough spots that are powered up that I can just extend a cord over and run anything I want to run. So so yeah, all the welders run, all the grinders run, the saws, drill press, all that stuff. It's, you know, it's part of me really wants to unpack and do all that stuff, right? But there's a lot of work still left to do on the building, right? And the electrical's kind of the first, and then I'll start in one corner and kind of start doing some of the insulation work that's from ground level up to about 8 feet, right? And then once I have a corner kind of established, then I can, you know, kind of place those machines where they're going to go and, you know, set up, right? And I'm reluctant to do that now because I'll just be shuffling things around again, right? So it's pretty frustrating.
Dennis Jickman, I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, Dennis, says, I would like to just say thank you, Tom. You're one of the reasons I'm back in school learning to be a tool maker.
Oh, hey, right on, Dennis. Thanks for that. It's always nice to get that kind of feedback. And, you know, some of the old guys that I work with kind of lit that spark in me, right, to appreciate my work and try to learn more and feel appreciative that I found something that I really like to do. So, yeah, right on. Thank you. So, yeah.
Bad Radcator asks, in the moving process, any new rigging or moving tricks? Of course, you gave us one already.
Yeah, so yeah, that's actually a pretty good question, and you know, I mentioned this in a couple of videos, but I'll mention it again here, right? You know, shops have all this kind of big, bulky, heavy stuff, right? And it's a lot of it's not cardboard box friendly. I'll just put it that way, right? So I ended up scrounging a bunch of old wood shipping crates. You know, so these are kind of, you know, heavy duty wooden crates that were destined to go into, you know, into the wood hopper and get crunched up, right? But what you can do is, for example, the lathe, right? Hey, all those extra chucks you have, the collet closer, all the tool blocks and all that stuff, you just start putting it in there, right? And so, yeah, the crate weighs 1,200 pounds or 1,500 pounds or whatever it is, right? So you move it with the pallet jack, but everything's kind of in there and protected, and where you're not breaking your back moving, you know, 6,000 cardboard boxes that weigh, you know, 60 pounds a piece or whatever, right? And so that worked out pretty good. And then for me, you know, some really good friends, you know, stepped up and helped out, and one of them, actually, I noticed his name flying by on the on the chat there. That's Yeti Man. That's Jeff Tiedekin. So you know, next time when he buys a property and has to move his shop, he's got some help on tap for sure. But anyway, what would happen is you know, it was really easy to organize help on the Benicia side, right? You know, because a lot of people lived in that area. And hey, I want to come over and help. Okay, fine, come over and help. So I had to be careful how I loaded the truck, because when I got home, when I got to the new place, it was just me and my wife, right? So some of these things were pretty sketchy getting out of the truck, right? So the lift gate was important, and then packaging things so that I could move them with a pallet jack or some kind of dolly or whatever was really key to the success of the thing. So. Yeah.
Firmworks asks, is there anything you would do differently than you had chosen to do? I think you started.
Differently, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's there were some logistics headaches, right? I got screwed over by some, professional rigging outfits that strung me along, and so the process kind of just took longer than I expected. But maybe that was just my desire to move faster didn't quite match up with what what happened, right? So yeah, Jeff's saying I could make a list, okay. Right. So yeah, it's it's hard work, right? And you can't do it by yourself. That's pretty apparent. So take care of your friends, and if you think it's going to be a week, figure on a month. So.
Tuck Garage asks, favorite ice cream flavor?
Oh, interesting. That's kind of an interesting question. So I used to get this, and I don't remember who made it. Was it Strauss or Haagen-Dazs? I don't remember which. It was a seasonal thing, and it was black walnut. It was a black walnut kind of premium ice cream, and but it was seasonal. It was pretty dang good. So
that's a good one. For me, but it's Cherry Garcia from Ben and Jerry's.
Oh yeah, right, yeah.
So Tuck Garage asks, what tools / machine do you use the most in your shop?
That's a pretty good question, right? So the machine that gets used probably the most is the vertical bandsaw, believe it or not. And I'm a vertical bandsaw dude, and it saves you a lot of machining if you have a decent one and you have good blades and things like that. So I use that quite a bit. Just cutting off stock or notching something out that you might normally mill out or something like that. It's just a pretty handy tool. After that, let's see what else. Most used, probably the mill and the lathe. After that, and then the marvel saw, and then grinders, and kind of what I would call support equipment too. So
you're distinguishing the marvel saw from the vertical bandsaw.
That's correct. Yeah. So now the vertical bandsaw is kind of you're handheld or you're pushing with a push stick or whatever, right? When you get into thicker, heavier stuff, the marvel saw is superior for making kind of straight cuts into things. But depending on the shape of the part, you might have to do a little bit of fussing around to clamp the part. And so there's this trade-off there, right? And how can I hold this versus what's the part geometry, right? So you're always kind of thinking in those terms, or at least I am, right? I'm so lazy. What's the least amount of effort, right? So if you just admit that you're lazy, right? You will find the least amount of energy input to get the job done, right? So just embrace your laziness, I guess, would be my advice.
Okay, we're going to jump around a little here.
Sure.
Battle River says, would you be using the Wire EDM soon?
Oop, you kind of cut out there.
Okay, how about now? We good?
Can you repeat that?
Hola.
You cut out for a second there. It's probably my end, but I got kind of bad internet. Yeah.
Roger that. So this is Battle River. Would you be using the Wire EDM soon?
Yes. Once I once I get it, there'll be a reconnect and powering up. And now I ran the machine before I bought it. It was operational, and so that in itself is kind of a little bit of an interesting story. I don't have a specific project, but a bunch of people have hit me up and said, "Hey, when's that thing running?" So,
yeah, I'm very excited. That is a technology that I personally know nothing about, so I'm pretty excited to see what you have to teach us.
Yeah, yeah, it's I none of the shops that I worked in. This internet's getting a little funky here. So, you there? Okay, there you go.
Good.
None of the shops that I came up in had a Wire EDM. We have them at the lab, but it's not like I get to play with them. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to learning about it. And I have some people that I know and I work with that are, pretty much at the top of the food chain in Wire EDM. So they're willing to help. So
That's very cool. The mayor of Little River asks, how often would Tom change his shorts?
How often what?
How often would Tom change his shorts?
So the shop shorts, they probably go 2 weeks or something like that before they stand up in the corner on their own and they need some help. So
let's see. I'm going to jump around here from the chat, the question queue. Nick asks, hi, Tom. Sandia recently donated a 5-axis Haas to us at LSU. Is that your neck of the woods?
So Sandia is, they have a few facilities. Their main facility is in New Mexico. They have a facility in Livermore as well, and I have some people that I know that work there. So I'm not sure which one donated this piece of equipment. So I couldn't comment on that. So there's one that's actually reasonably close. We don't have a lot of contact with them because that's DOD, Department of Defense. We're Department of Energy. A lot of their stuff is classified. We do no classified work at all. So,
excellent. Which means we get tours on video, which is nice.
Right. Exactly. Right.
Did you find anything packing or moving that had been missing?
Yeah. Well, I'm still looking for stuff, and it's pretty frustrating. The worst one was in the middle of the move, I had to cut some heavy wire up here at the ranch, right? And so the bolt cutters was the right tool for the job, right? And the bolt cutters were down in Benicia. And so it really galled me. I had to buy another pair of bolt cutters and basically double down, right? It was very, very, very annoying. So so I have two 24-inch bolt cutters now, right? And yeah.
So Yeti Man pipes up, and he says the only classified things at Berkeley Labs is the auction list.
Yeah, that's right. So we keep that under close wraps. So there's a first dibs policy. So
let's see. Woodworking. Wood.working. If you're a woodworker, welcome aboard. What is the best project you made and what year?
The best project I made in what year? Oh, I don't know. For me, the end result is not the goal for me necessarily, right? I mean, sure, I make all kinds of things, right, and they're fun to play with when they're done, right? But to me, it's about the process. It's about the work process, and designing something, that's fun. Building it's really fun. Puts fun. tweaking it and adjusting it. That's fun. But then at that point, I kind of lose interest a little bit after it's kind of done, right? And the evidence of that is I almost never paint anything because I don't like to paint, and that's the last step on any project. So all my projects are fun, I would say, and enjoyable, and I'm happy with most of them. But once I kind of finish them, I kind of set them aside and I move on to the next thing. So I follow my nose, my interests. So that way, I hope that answers your question. So
good answer. Not a question, but a statement from Ugly Skull 83. He says, not a question, just want to thank you, Tom, for inspiring me into incorporating my knife making with manual machining.
Oh, right on. Cool. So, yeah, that's actually something that that I kind of got re-energized or re-interested in. When I was much younger, some friends and I, we made swords and some armor and things like that, just messing around, right? But I always had this kind of knife making interest in the back of my head, right? And I made a few knives over the years, but I made a little, I would just call it a steak knife or whatever, really, for my wife for a birthday. I don't know, was it 2 years ago? I guess probably 2 years ago now. And anyway, it was fun, right? And I had more tools and I had more experience and all that, and I kind of had fun doing it. And so anyway, I bought a 2-inch knife grinder style belt grinder, right? 2 by 72 belt grinder. And man, does that make your life easier when you're trying to make knives. So So anyway, I've made a couple of kitchen knives, and I've been horsing around with that. But of course, all that's kind of on hold right now with all the move stuff going on. So, yeah.
Firmware asks, I'm manufacturing self-center vices. There's a dovetail way for the jaw carriers to slide in the base. I'm currently milling these with a carbide insert dovetail cutter. Any tips for moving this over to the surface grinder? 60-degree included angle.
Yeah. You're talking about a dressed wheel and all that, right? I guess my first question would be, are you manufacturing these, right? And why did you settle on a dovetail? Okay. As opposed to a square way for a vise or something like that, right? And you got a cutter that's got a kind of a sharp point on it that breaks down, and then if you want to get in there and grind it, you're not removing a lot of material. You're just cleaning up those surfaces, right? So, and you got to redress those wheels pretty regularly. It's, I don't know. You might re-examine the dovetail and the other available options in kind of captured ways like that. So that's my comment. So
excellent.
Yeah.
Let's see. Hardin 1966 asks, what personal dream projects have you got planned for the new shop?
Personal dream projects. Ooh, good question. I kind of back to what I said before. My interests kind of wander around a fair amount, right? So if you look at my, just the content of my videos, they're all over the place, right? And one day I'm making a vise, and another I'm making a cylindrical square or something else, or a booby trap for Adam Booth. Who knows, right? It kind of They kind of bounce around a little bit. So, dream project, I don't know. They're all dreams, I guess, is how I would characterize it. And So, what's the dream next week, I guess, is how I would put that. And yeah, I got some projects on the books. And some I'll do and some I won't do, right? What's important to me is that whole process, right? That thought process. So, as an example, right? A while back, I don't know, a year ago, I got interested in these self-centering vices, right? And Cobra Frameworks and I, we kind of chatted. That's Joe Roggenbuck. Roggenbuck. I don't know if you know him. Do you know him?
I don't.
No. Okay. So it's Cobra Frameworks, I think is his handle on Instagram. And
that sounds vaguely familiar. Cobra Frameworks.
Yeah, he builds bicycle frames, but more importantly, he doesn't build too many bicycle frames anymore. He builds bicycle frame manufacturing tooling now. And this is a young kid that started out building bicycle frames and made some of his own tooling, and now is selling that tooling to the greater community, right? But anyway, he and I have been talking about self-centering vices and the stupid money that they get for these things, right? They're like ridiculously expensive for what they are, right? And if you think about how they're used, right, and you clamp a piece of raw stock in there, and basically it's clamping about a coordinate system, right, and then you're hogging a bunch of material away, right? So they go to great lengths to make these things super precise and blah 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 and all this stuff. But in reality, it's just for grabbing raw stock, right? And they're not really second op vices, right? So why the heck are these things thousands of dollars a piece, right? And it doesn't make any sense, right? And it's probably has to do with demand and then the number that they actually sell right now. So Joe's kind of looking at it from how could we make these cheaper? What's the key ingredients? How could you make these cheaper and easier? And he kind of got me interested in it. So, I made some sketches and some drawings and whatnot just because I was thinking about it, right? And I'm like, oh, hey, that actually looks pretty good. That's pretty easy to do. It's all easy stuff to grind. If I want to grind it, if I want to just mill it, I can mill it. It would make a good project and to show on video for one, and then you end up with if I was going to I would build probably 3 or 4 of them at the same time, right? Then you can gang them up on your machine, and you can just use different work offsets, and off you go, right? But that's just one example of a project that's on my books. Am I going to do it? Yeah, I don't know. And I put some hours in it, so I don't know if that answers this question, though.
Good answer.
Yeah.
From the chat, Hamish Adamson says, how relevant / useful do you think file work / skills are in a modern machine shop or job shop environment?
Yeah, I don't know. Probably low if you're talking about so I guess I would qualify this with, it depends what kind of shop you're in. Okay, if you're in a CNC shop that's almost all CNC and it has maybe a little manual tool room or whatever, those kinds of skills are probably low priority. Okay, if you work in a repair shop, something like how we imagine Adam Booth's dad's shop was, right? Where you don't know what's going to come in the door, right? And or how you're going to attack that particular problem, right? Then I would say that it would be a higher priority. But fancy file work, these days, I don't know, it's more of a peripheral skill or whatever, right? The side benefits of of that skill are your attention to detail, your ability to your hand-eye coordination. So those are the side benefits of that, and the outcome is a nice, fancy file work, right? And so all of those, attention to detail and hand-eye coordination translate into everything that you do. So, don't knock it till you tried it.
Let's see. The James Howe asked a good one, but I'm going to save that for the last question. I like it.
Okay.
This is a good one. The mayor of Little River asks, I'm not saying he's a troublemaker, by the way. I'm not saying that.
Oh, yeah.
He asks, this is actually a good question. Do you think that learning from YouTube is better than learning at college?
So that's an excellent question. And, Jody does this machinist therapy hotline, and these guys are a freaking riot if you haven't listened to them, right? And I've been crawling on my belly trying to get invited to the show, but he hasn't invited me yet. So, but I'll answer your question. So
you're back.
Okay. I don't know what got cut out there, but I've been trying to get on machinist therapy hotline for a while now, and I haven't greased the appropriate skids yet. So, but anyway, it's interesting, right? So YouTube now has become like a real informational resource, right?
Uh-oh. Tom, the last words we got were informational resource.
You
said YouTube is an informational resource, and then you froze.
Say that again. I'm sorry. A lot of that cut out.
You said YouTube is a good informational resource, and then you cut out. How about now?
Okay.
How about now?
Okay, I think we're back.
Okay.
I think we're back.
Okay.
All right. YouTube is a hold on a second here.
All right. We got to get you some better antennas.
Yeah, hold on a second. Let me try something here.
Okay. So this, as an antenna professional, this is why you should never trust anything that has an antenna in it.
Yeah, it's cutting out. The video's cutting out. 15 minutes. Thanks. All right, let's try that. There's some, I got some bandwidth issues here, right? It's line of sight wireless, and it sucks. So
we should get you a better antenna, sir.
Yeah, really, no kidding. I know a guy. So yeah, YouTube is this pretty awesome informational resource now, and
you're good here.
All right. Okay, hold still. Yeah, hold still. Don't move. Right? Yeah. Anyway, when I learned stuff when I was coming up, right, it was from a bunch of grouchy old European guys, right, and you literally had to spy on them. Now you can actually get a pretty darn good education. And I'll call it that, an education on YouTube. And I'm talking about machining specifically, right? And but almost across the board. You want to learn about mathematics, you want to learn about physics, whatever. There's pretty much everything you want to find, right? And self-study is an important part of everybody's career, right? And So YouTube is actually a very, very powerful resource. The information per second is pretty high compared to textbooks. Okay, and a lot of this particular kind of work is communicated kind of visually too, right? You're watching somebody do something, or you see cause and effect and things like that. So I've had many viewers, thank me for videos and whatnot, and have actually gone from zero to getting a job in a machine shop, right? And kind of a thing, right? And a guy in Russia, basically he was a computer programmer, and he started watching videos, and he watched all my videos, and then he kind of bullshitted his way into his first job, right? He kind of glossed over that he didn't have any experience, right? Well, some guy put him to work, and guess what? He's working there, and he doesn't know everything, right? And he's learning, but he's managed to keep his job down, right? Or hold a job. And anyway, it was a great story. He emailed me and told me all about this, and let's see, what was the deal? He wanted I can't remember what he wanted. I said, hey, I got an even better deal, right? I'm going to send you one of my books. I'll sign it. I'll send you a book. I'll mail it to Russia, right? But you got to send me a picture of you holding my book up to some, standing next to some commie giant landmark or something like that, holding my book up, right? And he goes, oh yeah, no problem, right? So I sent him the thing. He sends me back a picture. He's standing there like the Joseph Stalin Memorial Bridge, and the river's completely frozen, right? And everybody's bundled up in their fur hats and all this stuff, and he's holding my book up in the snow, right? It's a great picture, right? And but he reached out to thank me, for providing this content that he learned from, right? So we connected on a visual level, and he learned something from me, so which is pretty cool. So now versus actually going to college, so what you learn in college, and that is, it's not for everybody, okay? But college teaches you how to think, okay? The content is dubious, but they teach you how to think properly, or well, I don't know about properly, but they teach you how to think. So that's what you get out of college. And, everything else you pick up along the way. So that's kind of my belief.
That's excellent. I have a question.
Sure.
When you do your YouTube videos, this is a two-part question. A two-part
question. When I do them, yeah.
I just want to, yeah. So when you do your videos, two-part question. Number one, what do you feel is the effort tax on a project for doing it for video?
Yeah.
And then talk a little bit about the equipment, the hardware that you also have to use for making your videos. Okay,
so that's a good question. A lot of people wonder about the effort tax, right? And it's a sliding scale, okay, a little bit. And but for the level of the production level that I put out, it's probably a 30% adder to the project, something like that. And for a 1 hour video, let's use a 1 hour increment, right? A 1 hour video, I probably spend hour and a half to 2 hours editing, something like that. Okay. Sometimes it's kind of one-to-one, Now, Dale Derry, who some of you guys know, so is probably 1 hour for every minute of video. That's his production level, right? So it varies wildly. And I try to balance it with the money that I get back from YouTube, which isn't very much. And so they just give you enough to keep you coming back to the well, so to speak, right? And so until you get up into the larger numbers of subscribers, right, where there's a better cost effort ratio, right, or you get an assistant that can help you shoot video and edit it and do that, so you can really focus on the I'll just call it the talent part of it, right? The practitioner part of it, right? It's barely worth your trouble. Okay, I do it because of it's part of my job to put that information out there, and I've met a lot of really cool people, you included, Spencer, right? I don't think I ever would have met you otherwise, right? So, yeah.
What you're saying is you got to meet me, but you also got to meet cool people.
Yeah, true. Yeah, you can take that either way, right? So,
I get that.
Yeah, and then
the mayor.
Yeah, go ahead.
Checking out. See you, Mayor, Mr. Mayor, sir.
All right, Jody, take it easy, bud.
So I have to ask you, because we have hit the top of the hour. Are you good for another couple of minutes?
Yeah, a couple minutes, and then I'm going to cut out. Okay, so.
Okay. So I'll ask the last question that I promised I'd ask, because I thought it was a really good one. What are your personal dream machines that you'd have in your shop if money wasn't an option?
Well, I don't know. What do I lust after? I don't know. I mean, I have to say that my shop's in pretty good shape, and I would probably collect better specimens of the machines that I have, from a functional use. So if money wasn't a problem, I'd have more square footage and similar machines, but in newer condition, probably something like that. And then I would certainly have a CNC lathe, and I don't know. But some of the old, I don't know. I guess I don't have a single machine that it's not like I lust after having a Kern or something like that, right? I mean, sure, right? I mean, that'd be fun to play with for a week, right? And mess around. But that's kind of a hard question for me. I kind of like all machines, and I'd probably have more square footage, and I probably would fill it up with other stuff, right? And additional things, right? So I don't know. Yeah. I have to think on that one a little bit. So
I thought that was a good. I thought that was.
Yeah, good. It is. It kind of caught me flat-footed, right? I don't. It's not like I want a 5-axis mill or whatever, right? And to me, a lot of the machines are they're just tools, right? And they represent possibilities, right? For me, right? And so that I don't have any hindrances to working on that thing that I want to work on, right? Whatever that is, right? And the machines aren't the thing. It's the work that's the thing, right? And they're just kind of in the background. And a lot of guys, just they lust after the machine, right? And but to me, it's the work that I lust after, right? And the machine just allows me to enjoy that work, right? So yeah.
And you end up making, if you don't have the tool you need, you end up making the tool you need anyway. Right?
Exactly right. I just saw somebody talk about a jig bore, right? And so yeah, I'd probably have a jig grinder if I had the space, and a jig bore, probably not. And let's see, what else would I have along those lines, right? Yeah, I don't know.
Would you agree that a lot of the modern tools are so good that they obviate the super special tools of yesteryear. Like the jig borer is a pretty cool machine for dropping holes in accurate places. But you know, I've got a CNC mill over there that'll do. I'm not saying it'll do exactly the same job, but it's pretty damn good.
Yeah, it's true, right? And you know, the technologies change, right? And the jig borer was created because, you know, in the die making industry or whatever, they had to get holes put in accurate, true position locations, right? And it produces extremely round holes too, right? And so, you know, some of these modern CNCs do a pretty good job, right? But you'll still notice that that even on modern CNC machines, when they need very, very round holes, they tend to use boring tools as opposed to interpolation, right? And so, you know, when you have like transmission cases or you need round holes in very, very accurate locations, the machines can position pretty accurately. But when you talk about interpolation, there's always, you know, unless you're talking about the very highest level quality machines, right? There's always some lobing going on there, right? That isn't good for bearings. So, yeah.
Well, we could probably go on for another couple hours.
Yeah.
So no, just kidding.
Yeah. Right.
So, Tom, let me just say thank you very much. Appreciate you. I personally have learned so much from you over the years. And, appreciate you giving back to the community. It's awesome.
Well, thanks. Yeah, we'll do it again, and thanks for giving me a little push to get me out of my shell there and get me on the show. So yeah,
a little poke. All right,
a little poke. Yeah.
We'll be back next week. Who knows what'll happen? I don't know what's going to happen. If you need to go learn some stuff, go look up OxTools on the YouTube and make sure you follow them on Instagram also at OxTools. And we'll see you guys soon. And if you're looking for precision flat ground stones,
there you go. There's your man right there.
You notice how that's not mirrored? You know?
Yeah, that's pretty clever of you. Yeah. How long did that take you to figure out? So,
all right, guys.
All right, we'll see you later. Huh? Thanks.
Tom.
See if I can get out of here. So,
ciao for now. Bye.
All right, later.